This is Alabama Politics with Steve Flowers, an in-depth interview with Alabama's top political newsmakers. Now, from the studios of Troy University, here is Steve Flowers.
I'm Steve Flowers, and welcome to Alabama Politics. We're fortunate tonight to have as our guest a circuit judge from Calhoun County, a very pretty one, Debra Jones. But folks, a lot of times we're not quite sure about these Supreme Court races. She's a candidate for the Alabama Supreme Court. And the upcoming March 13th primary, which is right around the corner, as you know, viewers, we have 9 members of the Alabama Supreme Court, and 5 of those seats are on the ballot this time. In this year, it's not a gubernatorial year. In a presidential year, we have 5 of our 9 Supreme Court seats up for election. Now, 3 of those seats are uncontested. Justices Lynn Stewart, Jim Main, and Glenn Murdoch have no opposition, so they'll be on the ballot, and you can vote for them, but they're going to win either way. And we have a very spirited Supreme Court Chief Justice race with Charlie Graddock, Chuck Malone, and Roy Moore running for that. That'll be the high-profile race. But we also have this race, which you're going to see one of the candidates tonight, Debra Jones. There is one open seat. Justice Tom Woodall is retiring from one of the 5 seats, so it's the only open seat. Well, I'm sorry, the second open seat. The Chief Justice race is wide open, but this one is wide open, and none of those 5 judges will have Democratic opposition. So whoever wins the Republican primary in this particular race will be on the Supreme Court for 6 years. In these days, winning the Republican primary in Alabama is tantamount to election, especially in Supreme Court races. But having said that, we have as our guest one of those candidates, a very pretty redhead from Calhoun County, Debra Jones. And Debra, glad to have you on Alabama Politics.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on the show and giving me the opportunity to speak with your viewers. You
know, viewers, I was speaking to the Chia Hall Republican women.
That's right.
Several months back, and Judge Jones was in attendance and did not know that she was a circuit judge sitting there. It was a group of Republican women up there in Calhoun County, and I was a speaker. And I told them some stories about Alabama politics, but I also commented about the Chief Justice race and then the Supreme Court races, and how as late as 25 years ago, all 9 members of the Supreme Court were Democrats. And now all 9 members are Republican, and probably for the foreseeable future will remain Republican. As we mentioned earlier, Republicans control the Supreme Court and all constitutional offices. But I said then that one of the people who orchestrated that takeover of the Alabama Supreme Court by the Republican Party before it was the party of power was a guy named Karl Rove, who is, of course, George Bush's political person. And he came in and helped orchestrate that Republican move to the Supreme Court. But his admonition to the business community in Alabama when he left, he says, now let me tell y'all something. The polling shows these things that Alabama is looking for. They're looking, first of all, for a Republican. Second of all, they're looking for someone with some experience who's been a circuit judge. And third, they're looking for a female. And she came to me after that meeting and says, I may run for the Supreme Court one day, and lo and behold, she's on the ballot. But Debra Jones is visiting around the state. Debra, you have been so active in your community.
Yes, sir.
There, you were born and raised up in that area, and now you're married, but you know, as young and as petite as you are, you have 5 children.
I do. My
Tell
husband.
the viewers about them.
All right, my husband and I have been married 20 years, and I married late in life. I went to college and law school. And
did you go to Jacksonville by chance?
No, I went to the University of Alabama.
I did too.
And then Cumberland Law School. And then I was 2 years on my job as assistant district attorney in Calhoun County, and I met my husband and we married, and then we began having children right away. I was 28 when I married and 29 when I had my first child, and then we had 5 children.
You were a prosecutor then. Your first job was a prosecutor in Calhoun County.
And we had 5 children in 8.5 years, so we were very busy.
How old are they now? Their age what now?
Well, my baby is 10. And my oldest son is 19, so they range in age from 10 to 19. I have 4 boys and a girl.
Now, were they excited about you deciding to run for the Supreme Court?
Yes, it was a family decision. We knew that it would require a move to Montgomery, and my husband's job and the children's school and our church is a very important part of our lives. And So it had to be a family decision, but everybody's on board, everybody's excited. They've been traveling with me. We've gone all over the state, 67 counties.
You made all 67 counties?
No, not yet. Working
Okay.
on it. Trying to get there, though.
You were in Huntsville all weekend, wasn't you?
Huntsville all weekend. Been there 3 weekends. Been in Mobile and Baldwin County 2 weekends in a row. Been to Jefferson County, Chilton County, St. Clair County, just Decatur, just as fast as we can get there.
Those are Republican counties.
They are good counties.
A lot of votes in those
Yes.
counties.
It's hard for me during the week because I do serve as circuit judge in 2 counties. Right now we're in the middle of a serial rapist trial. We have a 27 count indictment, so there's no vacation time available. You have to be there. You have to be doing that job. My people in my community expect me to be there, and I am doing that. Nights and weekends is where we're campaigning now, and then about a week before the election, as soon as I finish this trial, I'll take a week of vacation and try to get to some more counties.
Deborah, how many circuit judges are there in your circuit?
Well, we have 9 judges. We have 2 district judges, a probate judge, and then circuit judges.
Yes, 6 circuit judges in Calhoun and Cleveland.
Yes, and we have 2 counties in our circuit.
Now, do y'all specialize?
We do. My assignment is civil and criminal jury trials, and I'm very comfortable with that because I've always been in the courtroom. We have specialized family judges, and we have a non-jury circuit judge as well. But my assignment is primarily criminal and civil jury work, and the majority of what I do is criminal jury work. The majority of our cases are drug-related cases.
Is that right?
It is.
But you have a judge who just does domestic too.
We have 2 domestic judges.
In those
yes.
counties.
Yes.
In those counties. Now, that's a lot of circuit judges. Calhoun's a pretty big circuit.
It is. Well, we have Cleveland County as well, but and we travel and do that county as well.
Heflin.
Yes.
I'm in that paper over there.
Oh,
Heflin,
really?
yeah,
Yes, your column, yes.
And over in that paper. And they do a good job with it. Do you know also, now Deborah, what year did you go on the circuit court? And like, you were a prosecutor when you ran for a circuit judge?
No,
you were practicing law privately?
Right, I was practicing law. I began serving as assistant district attorney right out of law school. I served for 4 years there under Bob Field, who has been a DA for a long time, and then he retired and Joe Hubbard became the DA, and we just lost Joe this past year in July of cancer. He suffered for a while, but always was at work, was a very good prosecutor, very good DA. And while I was there, they were very supportive. They always allowed me to do what I thought needed to be done. And I've always gone above and beyond the call of duty. I've done that as a judge, I've done that as a lawyer, and I've done that as a prosecutor. One of the things that really concerned me when I became a prosecutor is that we did not have a system to be able to adequately prosecute child sexual abuse. And a lot of cases that should be prosecuted were not being prosecuted. So the DA at the time, Bob Field, he said, well, what do you think we need to do? And Bud Kramer had just started the first Child Advocacy Center in Huntsville. And so we just copied what he did. That worked and it looked good, and so we did what he did. And we started with a group of women, the Altrusa Club, and they were volunteers. We got a dentist in town to let us take a house that he could not rent at the time. He needed to do some things to it. And then we worked with the Sheriff's Office, the District Attorney's Office, the Mental Health Center, and the Department of Human Resources. We got everybody together, and we ran the Children's Center on volunteers. And then we got our 501c3, and we became a state agency. We were one of the very first in the state. It's been running now for 20 years.
You did this while you were a prosecutor?
Yes, yes. And now they see 436 children a year to investigate child abuse and neglect cases.
Then after 4 years as a prosecutor, you went in private practice.
I did. I've been about 17 years in private practice.
17 years before you were on the bench.
Yes, and then I was sworn in last year in 2010, and I've been on the bench for about 13, 14 months now.
How long had you decided prior to that to run for circuit judge? Had you been thinking about it for a while?
No, I really had not.
Now, was your opponent a Democrat? You
yes,
beat a Democrat.
Yes, he was a Democrat. He had ran unopposed for 21 years. He was on the bench. And I ran against him and won with 58% of the vote. And my race was very important because nationally, Calhoun and Cleveland County is Republican, but locally, they're Democrat.
Right.
So when I was successful in my local race, Then we had a lot of Democrats follow behind me. We had another circuit judge switch parties. We had the probate judge switch parties, the commissioner of license, and 2 county commissioners.
The probate judge was there that day when I was there.
Yes, Alice Martin.
It's a female probate
yes,
judge.
She's
She
a great
changed
probate
parties.
judge.
That's just prior to that.
That's right. She does a very good
now,
job.
Is she
for
up
us.
this year too over there?
She is. She's up for election this year.
Does she have an
Unopposed.
opponent?
No,
Unopposed,
unopposed. Yeah.
Deborah, tell me, now, you know, other than that, you've done several committees that you've been active in there in Anniston. I
Yes.
mean, several, but you've been really civically involved.
I have.
Not just from the bench, but from other things. Tell the viewers some of those things. I was very impressed when I was up there and they would tell me all about some of the stuff you've done.
Thank you. One of the things that I think a voter should consider when they're looking at who they should select to serve them on the Alabama Supreme Court is they should look at the qualifications of the candidates. And of course that's true in every race, but particularly in this race. And what I can bring to the Alabama Supreme Court is 22 years of actual courtroom experience. Now, I started as a prosecutor, then I was in private practice for 17 years, and then I have served on the bench for a year. And, you know, there's no requirement that you serve as judge to run for the Supreme Court. However, if I'm going to vote for someone, I want them to have had courtroom experience. Now, I have prosecuted capital murder cases, I have defended those, and I have served as circuit judge. And then in private practice, I had a wide variety of cases.
I was going to ask you that if you specialize.
No,
the lawyers in Anniston, they do general practice.
Right, most of us do, and that's good because you get a broad range of experience.
Yeah.
I've done probate, I've done civil, criminal, family law, adoptions, just about everything that there is to do. And that's good because all of that experience prepared me for the Supreme Court.
Right.
Now, you're asking about community involvement. I have always gone above and beyond because I have a servant's heart. I think that's important for anyone who runs for public office. We do not need a candidate that has selfish ambition or pride. We need someone who really wants to serve the people. As a young prosecutor, I wrote 2 laws that, you know, I just didn't set out to write a law, just like I didn't set out to run for judge, but it just kind of fell in my lap because there was a need, and you know, I wanted to meet that need. As a young prosecutor, I was assigned to district court, one of my first responsibilities, and we would constantly have DUI, 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 and it would be the same people over and over and over. And when your prosecutor and your defendant are on a first-name basis, something is not right. We'd take away their license, we'd put them in jail, we would fine them, do all the things that the law requires, and they would be right back the next month when we'd have misdemeanor court again. So I went to my district attorney, who was very supportive of everything I did. He loved for me to be out in the community, and I loved to do that, so it was a great partnership. And he said, well, what would you like to do about that? And he always called me Little Red, so he said, well, you just take care of that, Little Red. So I looked at the other states, and our other states, our sister states surrounding us, did have a felony DUI law. And what that means is after so many convictions in district court, then the next time it's a felony. And so we modeled our statute after theirs. And now after the 3rd conviction in district court, that 4th time is a felony. It's a Class C felony, which carries a minimum of a year and day in prison up to 10 years in prison, a very large fine, and you lose your license and there's jail time. Now, to get a law passed, as you well know, it requires a lot of work and a lot of community and team effort. We got Mothers Against Drunk Drivers behind the bill, Students Against Drunk Drivers behind the bill, the State Trooper Association, and the law enforcement, the District Attorneys Association. And so it passed. We didn't have any problem.
Who was the sponsor of it? Do you remember who it was?
It was Doug G., who was my state senator at the time from Calhoun County.
He handled it then.
Yes, he did. And so already having that experience, the next time there was a problem, well, I knew right who to call and what to do. So the next time I had a case that I couldn't prosecute, I was very outraged. The details are pretty graphic, so I won't mention those, but I had a child that was molested with an object by the father who was in the medical profession and who used a lubricant, and the child would come home from a visitation and tell mom what would happen, and it was so unbelievable she really didn't know what to do with it. But we could not prosecute that case. because there was not a law on the books. It was just a simple assault. Well, then I had another case where another child was molested in a similar fashion, and there was not a law on the books. So I started calling up all the DAs in different counties saying, well, what do you do when you have this case? And they're like, well, there's nothing we can do. So again, I did some research. The other states did have a law that made it a Class A felony to molest someone with an object. And I was focusing on children because that's what I was prosecuting. But even men and women can be sexually assaulted with objects. So now it is a Class A felony, which carries a minimum of 10 years in the state prison system up to life. And again, I knew right who to call and right what to do, and so we got the Children's Trust Fund behind us. And they carry a lot of influence and a lot of support in Montgomery and the legislature, and the bill passed without any problem.
Well, congratulations. I don't need to. You were the author of that act, then.
Yes. Well, again, I called Senator G, and he was helpful in that because it has to start, you know, somewhere in the legislature. I think he had someone in the House that, you know, he had working with him on those things. And then when I left the district attorney's office, I had 2.5 children and plans to have lots more. So I started my own practice. And I've had a building on Noble Street, which is downtown Anniston, and I've been there for 17 years. And I started helping, I was doing a lot of family law, and we had a lot of women and children that would have to get out in the middle of the night or in difficult situations. And we did not have really a safe place to take them to, because the house that we had, there were a lot of addicts there, and just a different environment. And, you know, a woman with small children would not want it to be taken to that place in the middle of the night. So we created a faith-based safe house called Mercy House. And again, we got members of the community together. We formed a 501c3, and we ran it. We got someone to live there, and DHR was very pleased that they had a place to take children in the middle of the night that was safe, and they knew we wouldn't let anyone in with addiction issues and things.
Is Calhoun one of the few counties that has one of those things?
Well, that's the only one I know about that's faith-based. You know, I'm sure there are some throughout our state, and I would encourage more people to meet that need because it's great. It's a great need. Now, when I took the bench, I had to close that down. I was trying to find another agency to take that cause, but we could not. The judicial canons of ethics require that you cannot engage in activities that would regularly create a conflict of interest. And if I still ran that house, I would have to recuse myself from every domestic violence case, from every child assault case. So we, you know, closed that down so that I could remain neutral, you know, and impartial. So.
Well, Deb, you know, it'd be a traumatic thing if you win this race, have to move to Montgomery, though. You're so used to right there in Anniston.
Yes, I love my community. I have 5 years left on my term. It was a major decision, but I really want to serve. And I wouldn't just be running for the Supreme Court. The opportunity presented itself with the open seat with Justice Woodall not seeking re-election. And I thought this would just be a great opportunity to serve the people. I want to do for the state what I have done for the 7th Circuit. I really have a servant's heart, and I believe I can do a good job there. I'm clearly the most qualified candidate for the position. I have done appellate work, I have done criminal work, civil work, family law, probate law. I've had a wide range of experience, but the main thing is that I have been in the courtroom every day in family law, 2 and 3 trials a week, and of course when I was a prosecutor, jury trial after jury trial after jury trial.
So you've had experience.
I've been there and done that. I've worn every hat in the courtroom.
Debra, now let me think about this. On our Supreme Court now, the female-male makeup is what? And Lynn Stewart's on the
we have Lynn Stewart and Kelly Wise. I believe they're the only two on the Supreme
Court. So 2 out of the 9 are females.
Yes.
What about Patty Smith? She's no longer on the Supreme Court?
No, she's retired, yes.
When did she retire? I forgot.
Well, I'm not sure, but
anyway,
she's
not
retired.
long ago.
Yes.
I guess that was last time when she retired then. And she had a similar background to you did. She was very active in that kind of civic stuff in Shelby County, similar to what you've done in Calhoun.
Well, now we do not have any Democrat opponents except Harry Lyons.
Is running the Supreme Court.
Yes, he jumped in on that race, I think on the very last day to qualify. So they will go, whoever wins the primary will have, you know, opposition in November. But the seat that I'm running for, March 13th decides the election.
That's right, no runoff either.
No.
There's two of y'all. That's one
right.
good thing.
That's right. That's
Deborah,
right.
tell me about your experience campaigns. Of course, you are hampered because you've got to preside over your court.
Yes.
So
and
you
right
have to do it
now,
at night time.
That's right. Right now we're in the middle of a horrible trial, 27-count indictment. The trial is expected to last 3 weeks. We've already been 1 week. I think we've had 7 days of testimony. We brought the jury in on a Thursday because we're treating it like a capital case. We did panels and individual questionnaires, and then tomorrow we will start our 2nd week of testimony. And it requires my presence. I have to be there.
Yeah, you're the presiding judge. Deborah, tell me this now. When you so you having to go at night and the weekends to campaign because that trial's going on.
That's right. We're getting 4 and 5 hours of sleep.
You'll only have like 1 full week to be able to hit the campaign trail.
We will. And then 2 days of that week we have things scheduled. So I have 3 days 1 week of vacation, 2 days the next week. So.
Well, you got some good friends helping you with your
I
campaign.
do. We have a campaign van, and it is full. There are 6 in it. We made a family decision that my husband would stay home with the children. We want to make sure everything is stable. Homework, bath time, bedtime, everything's right on track. And so I have a wonderful group of friends, men and women, husband and wife teams that are traveling with us. And this past weekend when we stayed in Huntsville, we had a family that all the children are grown and gone, so they had 3 extra bedrooms and 2 baths, and they took the whole campaign team in and cooked a big ham meal for us and breakfast and homemade desserts, and we were just treated like royalty. That's the way to campaign.
It is. It's a good experience.
It is. But now in Mobile, we had to stay in some economical hotels, so that was a little bit of a different experience. But we've loved it. Everywhere I've gone, people are the same all over, from county to county. They want the same things. They want honest judges. They want judges that walk in integrity. They want judges with experience. They don't want people that want to sit on the Supreme Court just so they can sit on the Supreme Court, because it's not about sitting there.
It's a hard working job.
That's right.
You write a lot of opinions on that court.
That's right, and it affects every county in this state, every prosecutor, every lawyer, every business, every citizen. So it's a very important job, and I will take it seriously. I will serve the people well. I have served my community well, and I will serve the state well.
Deborah, now your children, boys, girls, how old are they?
I have 4 boys. My youngest son is in 5th grade. He's 10. He's active in karate, taekwondo karate. And then my daughter, my only daughter, is 12, going on 25. Her name is Maggie, and she's in 6th grade. She's been on the campaign trail with me quite a lot. She likes it. She loves it. She loves talking to people and meeting people, and I want them to have this experience. And then my next son, his name is Parker. He was the quarterback for White Plains football, our football team. And right in the beginning of the season, he tore the meniscus, had to have surgery. He's been on crutches, been out for the whole year. So we had another quarterback, and he just loves football. He's just can't wait to go to Alabama and play. And then my next son, next to the oldest, his name is Christian. He is 18. He's a senior. And he has his bags packed by the bedroom door, and he's going to Alabama as soon as he can go.
He's ready to go, isn't he?
He is excited. And then my oldest son is 19, and he's a total different personality. He has his life all planned out. He's held the same job at Walgreens Pharmacy since he was 16 years of age. And he goes to a community college 5 minutes from work, and we live 10 minutes from all of that. He's got a very serious girlfriend, contemplating marriage at 19, we're talking, and he's very active in his church. So he's got his life all planned out.
What denomination are y'all?
We're non-denominational, more of a Pentecostal faith. We've been in the Baptist church all my life, and then we went with a larger church that we felt very comfortable. Yes, yes. Very pleased. So it's just a real good experience.
Let me ask you this. Tell me some of the most interesting experience you've had campaigning so far.
Oh, my goodness.
What are people, what kind of questions they ask you running for the Supreme Court, and you're out there and you shake someone's hand in Huntsville this weekend? What would y'all go to in Huntsville when y'all were campaigning? What events did y'all go to?
Well, we had a very large event. Elbert Peters has a Republican men's breakfast. 300 people were there. 297 people cast a straw poll for president. Rick Santorum won. Yes, in Huntsville. And
this was Saturday morning?
Saturday morning. And then the Saturday before that, I spoke at the Tennessee Valley Republican Breakfast in Huntsville in Madison. And let's see, Thursday night we had a forum in Pelham for the 3 candidates for the Chief Justice race.
All 3 of them there?
Yes, they were all there, and it was at the Pelham Library Guild, and then me and my opponent, we were also there, and we had some questions that we could not answer. You know, we're not prepared.
Thursday night, what were some of the questions they asked y'all?
Well, they ask every candidate a different question, and one of the questions was, do we think Obamacare will be upheld as constitutional by the United States Supreme Court? Well, I have a strong opinion on that because the majority of the attorney generals in our country filed a lawsuit and joined in on a lawsuit challenging the constitutionality and raising the 10th Amendment, states' rights. So I have a strong opinion about that, and most people do, but we cannot comment on that because whatever happens, we may have to decide an issue that might apply in the state of Alabama. Another question that a young man asked was about the immigration law, and do we believe that parts or all of it will be upheld as constitutional?
Those are good questions.
Good questions. It's what the community wants to know. It's what they're interested in. They have strong opinions about that. We had another question about really abortion and how our governor has curved, back some of the things on abortion through legislation. And when he was in the House, he introduced legislation to make abortion illegal, except in the case of rape and incest and danger to the mother's life. So we got some questions about that. And one thing that's going on in our county, we had this past week 2 women angry at each other, and they lived in the housing authority. One woman pulled a gun on another woman, knowing that she was pregnant, shot her in the stomach, and the baby, of course, did not live. So our district attorney is looking at convening a grand jury and indicting her for the murder of that unborn child.
Did he kill the mother too? Just kill
No, mother's alive. Baby did not make it. And so what we have is a dichotomy in our law. Our law right now says that if you kill an unborn child, the law protects that life on the inside of the womb. However, our law also says that if a mother chooses to abort that child, then that is legal. So we have one side of the coin saying it's illegal in a criminal aspect, but another side of the coin that it's legal if a mom chooses to do it. And we were asked if that issue would perhaps land on the Supreme Court's desk.
Do they know about this case in Calhoun County?
Very well, it could land on the Supreme Court's desk.
Did they know the person that asked us in Pelham, they didn't know about the case in Calhoun County?
No. That was information that I knew, but it's happening all over.
Did all y'all defer to not discuss that because you can't? They ask y'all questions.
And what would happen is if you made your opinion known,
then you can't judge on it.
Right. Then you have to recuse yourself because there are very strict rules, canons of judicial ethics, and you have to take those very seriously.
Yeah, you do.
You do. That's right. Judges have to lead by example. I think they need to lead by example not only in their lifestyle, but in their personal work ethic. I get to court every day at 7:15. Of course, my children get on the bus at 6:35, so it's very easy for me to get there at that early hour. I'm the first one there. I always make coffee for everyone, get the day lined up, get the files lined up.
As a circuit judge, you do?
As a circuit judge. And when the people come in at 8 o'clock, the lawyers know I'm there. My door, I have an open door policy. It is always open. There's a door stop there. You walk right in. You get to ask me personally any question that you want. And we line our day up between 8 and 8:30. A lot of lawyers come in, have coffee, and we line up please and everything. And I'm very accessible to the people. I think that's important. You need to be. A lawyer knows that my office is accessible, and if you call and leave a message, we'll get right back to you. You can get a police scheduled, you can get a trial scheduled, and we're taking care of business, which is what we're supposed to do.
Well, I can tell you got a good heart, and you got a heart of a judge, and our time's up.
All right. I appreciate you letting me come and speak to your viewers. Thank you so much.
We thank you, and we thank the viewers for watching. Our guest tonight, folks, has been Circuit Judge Debra Jones, who's from Anniston, and her circuit is in Calhoun in Cleveland County. She's a Republican running for the Alabama Supreme Court on March 13th, which is right around the corner. And we want to thank Judge Jones for coming down from Anniston and being on our show, Alabama Politics. We thank you viewers for watching, and we hope you'll tune in again next week for Alabama Politics. Thank you very much. Thank you, Deborah.
Good show. Thank you very much.
It's so tough to do a show with you.
This has been Alabama Politics with Steve Flowers, a production of Troy University Television. Opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of Troy University, its administration, faculty, staff, or students.